Welcome to Thelma FM Life Story Podcasts. This is part 2 of a 2-part interview with John Thomson, who is a volunteer in the Wee Museum of Memory, Ocean Terminal. This episode starts with John at the age of 16. He's working and he has money in his pocket to go out and have fun. Murrayfield Ice Rink is his favourite place and he's there 3 nights a week. By the time he's 18, he's a mod and we find out what he wears and where he shops and where he goes to get his hair cut. He and his group of friends ride around on their Lambrettas, visiting McGoos, the Gamp, the International and many more, managing to dance until 2 a.m. and still be at work for 5 a.m. Then we're back to the ice rink, where in the early 1970s John meets his wife-to-be, Linda, and the Lambretta makes way for a Fred Flintstone Mini. So sit back and enjoy.
So when did you really start going dancing? How old were you?
Well, I never actually went to dancing until I was 17, or maybe just a wee bit older than that. When I was 16, I went to Murrayfield Ice Rink.
Right.
And into 17. I used to go there maybe three nights a week, because then they had, in the middle of the ice, on a stage, they had a live band.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. They were called, I think they were called the Hunters. And then, so it was great fun to go along, but then it kind of got a wee bit dangerous, so they took them off the ice and put them to the side. But it was fine, you would skate around and chat the birds up, stuff like that. And then, of course, they had a bar up the stairs, but then couldn't get into the bar because I was too young.
So what sort of year are we talking about if you were 17?
I have to think this is, what's that, 57, 67, 65.
Right, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So I started going to the ice rink and then met this female, went out with her for about a year, never saw her. She finished with me, I don't know why, I still don't know why. But she showed up at my door 2 years later with a baby and tried to say it was mine. But I said, well, it can't be mine because we never had sex.
She got genuinely?
Yeah.
She
was
tried
true,
that?
yeah. I don't know what else she says. Oh, I'm sorry that we finished. I want to have you back. I says, oh, you're too late then. I says, I've got them queuing up at the door. So then that sort of petered out the ice rink. Then I started going to the dancing. I'd be nearly 18 then, I think. First place I went to was the top Storey, which is the top of Lee Street, obviously. And then graduated from there to McGoos, which was in the High Street.
Right.
And also there was another one called the Gamp, and that was up at Rygo Street at Tollcross.
Oh, right, okay.
So, funny story about that. By this time, of course, I had my scooter. Rygo Street was a one-way street.
Mm.
So I'm thinking, I'm not going to go all the way around on the scooter. So I'm going up the street the wrong way.
Right.
Stops outside the club, 2 policemen. Come here, you. I said, what's wrong? Do you realise this is a one-way street? I says, aye, but I'm only going one way. So, I don't know what happened, but his pal burst out laughing, and they just said, right, I'm watching you.
You were lucky they had a sense
I know,
of humour.
but it was just, I think because his pal burst out laughing,
Yeah,
he just sort of says, right, I'm watching you, But that was a long time ago.
So was it a Vespa you had? Or Lambretta?
I had a Lambretta.
Right.
Vespas were rubbish. So, anyway. So, I used to go to the dancing, McGoos, the Gonk. Then I started going to the International, which was in Princess Street above Watches of Switzerland.
Mm.
And that was it, pretty much. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, be at the dancing.
So it was a kind of three
but
night.
Not the same
weekend.
one in the 3
No.
nights, different ones, But McGoos was the favourite.
Was it?
Because they had a lot of live bands. I mean, I saw the Who there before they were famous.
Wow.
The Trogs, them,
Right.
and the Pretty Things
God.
before they were famous.
Yeah.
But it was a great. They had it was like a membership. You had to. It didn't cost you anything to join, but you got a pass.
Right.
And they had about 3,000 members. People were coming from Fife and Dalkeith and all this kind of on a Friday, Saturday night to go to the dancing. And then they had a lot of live bands. They also had up on the stage. They had like a big cage, and it was the go-go dancers that was in the cage.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So it was quite good.
Yeah.
The gonk was a different kettle of fish. The gonk was an old church.
Right. Okay.
And was good for a while, but then it changed its name. I don't know why it changed to the Bowler and Brawley.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So you had to go if you were a member.
Yeah.
You had to have a bowler and a Brawley.
What? Seriously?
So, yeah. So I had to go to a second-hand shop, and I bought a bowler and a Brawley.
That's ridiculous.
So it was. I mean, not just me. A lot of guys
Yeah.
had the bowler and the Brawley, but that was just one of these things. So the dancing it was a big thing in our life.
Mm.
And when I worked for Carney and Crones, we used to work funny hours.
Mm.
So we'd go to dancing on a Friday night, and maybe be there till 2 a.m, something like that. But then we'd just go straight down to work. So we would maybe get a kip on a chair for an hour and then start work at 5 in the morning, processing fish. You know? So that was the way it was. We just accepted it. But,
Yeah.
but as I say, it was good money. So you just went along with it, you know.
Yeah. And
But
whereabouts was the gonk then again?
The gonk was in Rygo Street in Tollcross, which
Right.
is no longer there.
No.
Well, I mean, Rygo Street's still there, but
Yeah.
I think it's a government building or a big tall solicitor's building.
Right.
I was up there a couple of weeks ago just for a walk round, but of course the church is all gone,
Yeah.
and it's all modern, you know. So, but a lot of memories. Coffee shop. There was one in Lothian Road called Mr. Smith's, which later became a massage parlour. But before that, it was a coffee shop, and that's where all the mods met. There was no drink. It was Coca-Cola or coffee and a burger. That was it. So one incident, we never really had any bother with the rockers. They had their own club. It was in the crypt of I can't remember the name of the church, but it's right on the corner of Stafford Street, the big church.
Oh, yeah.
They had their own place, but their coffee shop was in the crypt to the church.
Right.
So we didn't bother. I mean, silly wee incidents like, I think the only one incident I remember is we used to, in Lothian Road, we used to line our scooters up, you know, like alongside each other. So one incident, we came out one night and we knew it was the rockers had done the domino effect. All the scooters were lying on their side, you know. So we didn't bother about revenge because they were tougher than us, you know. But that was the only incident. I mean, nothing like Brighton, nothing like the Mods and Rockers didn't there. They didn't bother us and we didn't bother them. But it was good fun, you know.
So, obviously, mods, talk us through what you'd be wearing then as young.
Well, if you were a mod, you wore a suit. Or you wore the top of your suit, Levi jeans, a shirt and tie. But normally it was a suit. And then the parka with either Ban the Bomb on the back of it or The Who or somebody's name, some band's name on the back. But we never wore crash helmets.
No?
Nobody wore crash helmets.
right. Okay.
That was seen as not, you know, a crash helmet.
Yeah. And where would you get your suit from?
Well, I got mine out of, I think it was called, all these years ago, the 50 Bob Taylor. It was John Collier's.
Right.
But then we also bought stuff out of Hepworth's, Burton's, and trying to think, there was a place up Lothian Road, Berries.
All right.
We didn't buy suits out of there. We bought tops, shirts, jeans and stuff like that.
Right.
And then we went through a phase of tie-dyeing your own shirts. You know, getting a wee packet of dye, filling up the pot with water, boiling water, putting your shirt in and then pouring the dye in. And it'd be about 3 different colours, maybe orange and white and orange, but that's what we did.
Yeah.
But the clothing thing, and then there was a stage where we went through, I can't remember, it was called the Beau Brummel stage.
Right. Okay.
You know, if you remember who Beau Brummel was.
Right.
We had the frock coats
No.
and the cravats.
Wow.
So that was a different stage.
Yeah.
But it was mainly, if we went anywhere, we always wore suits, or as I say, Levi's and your jacket off your suit. Yeah,
And what these would be, what, narrow lapels?
yeah,
suits?
narrow.
Single-breasted?
Single-breasted. But I did have a Beatle suit.
Did you?
Yeah, it was grey with the black corded collar. and I had we called them Beetle boots, but they were actually Chelsea boots.
Right. Okay.
So all that kind of thing, and then the shirts with a pin through the collar. You know, there was a pin on either side, kept your tie in place. All these things. I spent a fortune on clothes. You know.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
What about getting your hair? Where did you go for your hair?
Used to go to a wee barber's, New Haven, called Kenny's.
Right.
Kenny's is still there, but it's his daughter now that does it. But I don't go there now. But yeah, everybody went to Kenny's.
And music, you mentioned the Who. Who were you actually following record-wise if you were buying
it was the Beatles and the Who.
Right, okay.
Because I was buying Beatles, and then if the Who had just... And I bought them because they made a record called Gloria, which was favourite of mine.
Right.
So that was a single. I can't remember how much it was. It wasn't very much. 7 and 6 or something like that.
Right.
I think it was 7 and 6 for a single and 12 and 6 for an LP or something like that.
And where would you go for your record?
Band Parts used to be up the Lee Street,
Right.
where the clock is in the middle of the road. It's now a Chinese restaurant, I think.
Right.
So in Band Parts they had the booths where you could put a pair of headphones on and go in and listen to the record before you bought it. So that's where we spent our Saturday afternoons. And the other thing was, when the pub shut on a Saturday, well, then they shut anyway, we used to go to a pub in St Andrew Square called the Grand Bar.
Right.
So we would go there on a Saturday, maybe 12 o'clock, there was maybe 8 of us, and they had a wee jug bar down the stair. So we had taken over that, the 8 of us. So we would buy a case of bottles of McGoos Export. So we would have a drink at 12, and then they would say to you at 2:30, right, that's it. So we would just leave what was left there, go out, go up to Woolworth's Cafe in Princess Street, have something to eat, and 5 o'clock back into the pub, finish off your beer, maybe get some more, and then we would think about where are we going tonight? Are we going to International, or are we going to Walkers? That's how things were, you know.
Yeah. And of course, as you say, you would have had money. That was the thing.
Yeah, I made a lot of money there. I was actually, I think I told you before, I was making more money than my dad was making.
Yeah.
But that was just things that everybody enjoyed, the dancing, and it was great fun, you know. And as for girls, well, yes.
We won't go into that too much.
We better not in case Linda's listening. She says to me this morning, I was looking at some of the stuff from Thelma.
Yeah.
She said, I didn't realise that you had put the photographs of us down there and the one of you being a fireman. And I said, yeah. So I saw them online.
Because there's one of you with your scooter, isn't there? We got one of you on your scooter.
Yeah, one with the scooter as well. She said, I didn't realise you had done that. I says, well, I took them down to show Miles. And the next thing I know, they were getting copied online.
Wow, that's great. We'll use one of them.
It's a pity they look like that now. Yeah, but as I say, the dancing days were great. 60s music, you can't beat it, you know. I get a row from Linda because I wouldn't listen to anything else, you know.
That was your time.
I met her in the 70s, early 70s.
Right.
I wasn't keen on 70s music, but I went along with it, you know. But if you look in my car now, you'll see about 15 CDs, and they're all 60s music.
So at what point when did you get rid of your scooter?
Oh, God, I think I got rid of my scooter when I was 20, and I had a Mini.
All right.
But it was a Mini of sorts.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I called it my Fred Flintstone car, because the driver's side was all right, but on the passenger side there was no floor.
I had a Mini like that, yes.
And I got that, and then I had a Mini van.
Did you? Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. And then we used to go, I bought a Thames van from a guy in New Haven, a right chancer. What was his? I can't remember his name.
Better not say it.
Oh, he'll be dead now anyway. And we used to go to Hoyok on a Friday or a Saturday, because the population down there was 7 women for every man. So we used to go down to, I think it was called the Queen's Hotel.
Right.
And of course, they had dancing down there. But they were still in the hillbilly stage, a lot of them. Because when we went down, of course, we were immaculate, and we went into places, everybody would turn around and stare at you, Because they had, and it was a situation where I went with this girl from Arneson, which is just at Gore Bridge there, and the same thing happened there. I had went through there and I had my suit on, had my scooter, and she took me to the Rocco Arneson Miners Club. Well, I went in there and it was the same thing, hobnail boots and dungarees. Everybody turned around.
And that was just the women.
Yeah, it could have been. But anyway, that relationship didn't last very long.
So did you go far on your scooter? You mentioned going out to Gorebridge.
Just Gore Bridge or maybe Bathgate to the... What the heck was it? I think the pub in Bathgate was called... Oh, God, the Circle. And that was another place. They had live bands.
Right.
So we just went wherever.
Yeah.
Wherever the women were, I suppose.
And you mentioned the big bands starting out. What were the local bands that you were looking at?
The Moonrakers, the Embers, the Hunters. There was quite a few, but these are the only ones that I wouldn't say followed, but when we went to places, they were there.
They were the good ones.
And when we went to, oh God, what's the name of that dance hall up at Morningside? The Plaza.
Oh yeah.
It was a band called Stella and the Kentones.
Oh right.
Mm-hmm. So that was a wee bit different.
Yeah.
When the funny thing about Morningside was the infamous pub, the Canny Man's.
Oh.
We were always smartly dressed, but if the owner at the time didn't like the look of you never got in. Didn't even matter if you didn't even utter a word. If he didn't like the look of you didn't get in.
You wouldn't be. God's sake.
So we never went up there very often.
No.
But most of our time was spent, as I say, round about Tollcross or Princess Street for the Watches of Switzerland, the International Club. That was a good... Their resident band, I think they were called the Hippo People.
Oh, right, yes, yeah.
So that was quite another funny story. I'll try and make it as... We were up there one night, my pal and I, and there was girls standing at the side of the stage and the Hippo People were playing, So we're chatting away to them. Had no drink, of course, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And when the band stopped for a break, so they came down, and because we knew them, and they started talking to us. The next thing, one of them let off, shall we say, and he turned round and he says to me, "Is that you? You want to think ashamed of yourself?" And my face went scarlet.
Oh, that's rotten, isn't it?
And honestly, I could feel my face getting hotter because we were talking to these girls,
Oh, what a shame.
But I'm not telling you what I said to them after. But then it was all good fun. There was they're talking about fighting, and there was hardly any. One thing about McGoos, they searched you when you went in.
Is that right?
It was either for drink or weapons or drugs.
Oh my God, right.
But there was never any trouble.
No.
But there used to be, I think there was local gangs like Young Mental Dry Law and all these things, but they never bothered us, I don't think they could afford to go to the dance.
So, you've talked about, obviously, there was drink involved. You were saying you went to the pub.
We went to, if we were at McGoos, we would go to either the World's End, and there was a pub further up from McGoos called the Lorna Doone. It was either that or the World's End or across the road at the Archers, which is kind of kept Royal Archers. Yeah. It's kept in. But we didn't get drunk. We went in and had a couple of drinks. But then we got to know the bouncers. So they would let us out if a band was on a break.
Yeah.
They would let us out and we'd go to the pub and we'd see the band in the pub.
So what about, 60s drugs were coming in. Were you ever offered
no,
it, stuff?
I don't. To be honest, there was a crowd of us went about together, maybe 9 or 10 of us, and the only thing was 1 or 2 of them smoked. But I never ever heard. I don't think I never heard any of them getting involved in drugs.
No.
And I never smoked anyway, so it wouldn't make any difference to me.
No.
But I can't recall anybody getting involved in drugs. We were kind of clean but boring, I suppose.
Well, it doesn't sound as though you were that boring.
Yeah, but it was good fun. I met a woman yesterday who works in the Columbus shop.
Oh, yeah.
And she was the same age as me, and she says, "Oh, I had a great time." So the swinging 60s used to go.
Well, that's the thing. Women were having, they were a bit more equality, wasn't there? So they were.
And funny enough, there was a crowd in on Saturday when I was on, and they were maybe Asian, Indian, or whatever, and they were young. And they were asking me about music in the 60s, and one of them says, "Oh, were you at the swinging 60s?" No, he said, "Were you at the swinging 70s?" I says, "I wasn't swinging 70s, it was 60s. And he was asking about clothes and scooters and all that kind of stuff.
So when the 70s came, when did you meet Linda?
Oh, I better get this right.
You better do.
73.
Right, okay.
I met Linda at the ice rink because I had gone back again.
Right, right.
And I met her because I used to pal about with this guy. I think he's gone now, Peter Dick. He said to me, "Go back to the skating." I said, "Oh, to go there now." But I went back, and I also did things with him. He was a keen rock climber, so I did a bit of that as well.
Good grief. I'm seeing you in a new light.
So
Skating
I did
and
a bit
rock
of that
climbing.
as well. And went to skating, and of course I met Linda, and I've never been back since, unfortunately.
Well, why did you take up the ice skating anyway? That's a bit
At the beginning?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just kind of fell into it. A couple of guys, and of course a couple of girls that I knew. The one I was telling you about with I met her there, and I went along one night, just because somebody had said, "Oh, they have 5 groups in the middle of the ice." And I said, "Oh, rubbish." So anyway, I went along, and it was this group called the Hunters, and they were very good.
Right.
So I just started going. I ended up going there 3 or 4 nights a week.
I can honestly say I've never heard of the group in the middle of the ice before. That's a new one on me.
They had the stage, but how they were able to use their cables for amplifiers and stuff like that. They had the old wooden clothes poles, and the wires would come along and come the clothes pole.
Doesn't sound the safest way of
It wasn't, but it was. I think that they tried it, and then a few months later, we went along on a Friday night, and the stage was away, but the band was still there. They were at the end of the ice rink.
And obviously you were out a lot, but were you watching TV in the 60s?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I had no time.
No, obviously not.
I was either working, because when we worked in Crohn's, you were kind of at their beck and call. I mean, if they needed you at 4 o'clock in the morning, you were there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we did a few stints at the market as well, at New Haven.
Right, my goodness.
So,
You were
and then
busy.
of course the landing the trawlers, that was heavy going.
Yeah.
So that was us out enjoying ourselves.
So it was a hectic time.
It was, yeah,
but
good
enjoyable.
time. Plenty of girlfriends. Linda said that to me the other night. How many girls did you go out before you met me? I said, "Oh God."
Maybe this is a time to stop and speak off record.
Yes.
That's great, John. That's
Right,
brilliant.
cheers.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast with John. You can find more like it on our website www.livingmemory.org.uk. Until the next time, take care.